You donated $50. Maybe it was to a flood relief fund back in your home country. Maybe an orphanage your grandmother used to volunteer at. Or a small monthly donation to a mosque, a church, a cultural organization that helped people like you when you first got here. You did it because you're a good person. And in 2026, that one donation could be the reason the U.S. government revokes your American passport. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you this because nobody else is. And you deserve to know it before something happens that can't be undone. Stay with me. What I'm about to share could protect the most powerful document you own. Welcome back to Lawful Immigrant Shield. I'm Tom Lamas. If you're new here, this channel exists to make sure that you, a lawful immigrant or naturalized American, never lose what you worked so hard to build.
Today's topic is urgent. It touches roughly 20 million dual citizens living in the United States right now. And most of them have no idea that a bill called House Bill 5300 is already moving through the system, written in language so broad and so vague that ordinary, well-meaning immigrants could get caught in it without ever doing anything wrong. So here's what we're going to cover: what HR 5300 actually says, who it targets, what material support really means under this bill, and what you can do right now to protect your citizenship. Let me tell you about a guy I'll call Khalid. He came from Jordan 22 years ago, studied, worked, built a business, raised 3 American-born kids. 8 years ago, he became a U.S. citizen. His family cried. He hung the certificate on the wall. He takes that blue passport everywhere. Every Ramadan, Khalid donates to a charity that delivers food to refugee families in the Middle East. He's done it for 10 years. He found the organization through his local mosque. It had a website, a tax ID, volunteers. Normal. He never gave it a second thought. Now fast forward to 2026. That charity shows up on a newly updated government watch list. Not because it funded terrorism, not because Khalid knew anything at all, but because it had a financial connection, 3 layers deep, to another group that had ties to a flagged organization. Under HR 5300, 10 years of $50 donations could be classified as material support. And under the proposed guidelines, the State Department could revoke Khalid's U.S. passport, not his green card, his passport, his proof of citizenship. Khalid's story is fictional. The law that could make it real is not. HR 5300 takes the existing material support doctrine, originally built to stop people from knowingly, actively funding terrorism, and stretches it into territory that has immigration lawyers genuinely concerned. Under the bill's framework, the Secretary of State could revoke a passport if a citizen provided financial or other material assistance to anyone connected to a designated foreign terrorist organization, or to a newer, broader category of sanctioned groups. Here's what should stop you cold. The bill doesn't require that you knew the organization was connected to a sanctioned group. It doesn't require intent. It doesn't require a criminal conviction. This can happen through a government office, not a courtroom. Administratively. And the burden of proving you're innocent, that may fall on you after the fact. Right now, you might be thinking, Tom, I'm not a terrorist. I don't fund extremists. This isn't about me. That's the exact reaction I want to address. Because the people most exposed to this bill are not bad actors. They're people who look a lot like you. There are 3 groups I'd pay close attention to. The first is dual citizens who send money to charities back home. If you're from Pakistan, India, Nigeria, Egypt, Somalia, Lebanon, Mexico, El Salvador, Iran, or honestly dozens of other countries, and you've donated to local charities, mosques, churches, cultural organizations, community funds, you may have sent money to a place that has some connection, however indirect, to a flagged entity. These connections aren't posted publicly. Government watch lists update constantly. You won't always know. The second group is people who use informal money transfer systems. Hawala is common in a lot of immigrant communities. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's familiar. But when the path your money traveled can't be documented clearly, that's a liability under a broad material support framework. The third is business owners and professionals with foreign financial relationships. If you export goods to certain countries, or you have contracts with foreign organizations, the scope of material support could potentially reach commercial activity you never once considered risky. Now here's what really bothers me about this bill. The language defining what counts as a connection to a flagged group is not clearly spelled out. That vagueness isn't a drafting mistake. Vague laws give enforcement agencies room to move, and historically, when enforcement agencies have that room, immigrants, dual citizens, and minority communities end up bearing most of the weight. We've seen this before, more than once. I want to slow down here for a second, because people underestimate what passport revocation actually means when you hold two citizenships. The thinking goes, I have my home country's passport as a backup, I'll be fine. That thinking could genuinely upend your life. If your U.S. passport gets revoked while you're outside the country, you cannot re-enter as a citizen on a foreign passport. You'd need a visa, and if you've been flagged under a material support finding, that visa application could be denied. You could be stuck. Your kids, if they're American citizens, are still here. Your home is here. Your job is here. Your bank accounts. Everything you spent decades building. On the other side of a border you can no longer cross. And the ripple effects don't stop there. Legal experts following HR5300 are concerned it could be used as a stepping stone toward denaturalization in the most serious cases. That's not a guarantee, but it's a conversation that's already happening. Even if it never goes that far, appealing a passport revocation from inside the United States takes time, potentially years. Years of explaining to your employer why your documents are under government review, years of uncertainty with your family, years of legal costs. I want you to actually picture this for a moment. You're at an airport. You hand your passport to a CBP officer. They look at it, they look at you, and they say, "Sir or ma'am, this document has been flagged. Please come with us." That feeling of the floor dropping out, that's what we're trying to make sure never happens to you. Okay, we've talked about the threat. Now let's talk about what you can actually do, because that's all this channel has ever been about, not fear, preparation. Go through every organization you've ever donated to. Pull up your bank statements, your PayPal history, your Zelle, your Venmo, anywhere you've sent money internationally or to any cultural, religious, or community group in the last 5 years. Write them down. Then take each name and run it through the U.S. Treasury Department's OFAC database. That's the Office of Foreign Assets Control, publicly searchable at treasury.gov. It lists every sanctioned individual, entity, and organization. If anything on your list shows up there, or if you find news reports connecting them to sanctioned groups, call an immigration attorney. That day, stop using informal transfer networks for now. I get it. Hawala is cheaper, it's faster, it's what your family has always used. But right now, in this legal climate, not being able to document where your money went is a vulnerability you can't afford. Use licensed wire transfers, use regulated services, keep the receipts, document your intent, keep a simple record of why you chose the organizations you donate to. screenshots of their websites, whatever tax documentation they provide, any correspondence. If you ever have to show that a donation was charitable and not strategic, documentation is your defense. A 2-minute screenshot could matter enormously someday. Talk to an immigration attorney before your next international trip. I know that sounds excessive. It isn't. If you're a dual citizen who sends money abroad, before you leave the U.S. under an HR5300 framework that may already be active, get a brief consultation. Understand your risk. Know what to do if something happens at the port of entry when you come back. And stay current on how this bill moves. HR 5300 isn't signed into law yet as of this recording. But bills move fast, amendments get added quietly. Executive guidance gets issued with little fanfare. You cannot assume this one won't pass or won't affect you, and check back in 6 months. Subscribe to this channel. The moment something changes, we'll tell you exactly what it means and what to do about it. Before I wrap up, I want to be straight with you about something. The material support doctrine itself isn't new, and it isn't entirely wrong. It was built to stop people from knowingly bankrolling terrorism. Nobody reasonable argues against that in principle. But the history of how material support has actually been enforced in the United States is also a history of real damage to innocent people. Refugees denied entry because they paid a ransom to people who threatened their lives. Immigrants penalized for donations they had no reason to believe were connected to anything harmful. Families ripped apart not by courts but by administrative processes with almost no oversight. HR 5300, as written, walks that same road, and it places dual citizens in a particularly exposed position because dual citizens are exactly the people with the deepest ties to foreign communities, foreign causes, and foreign cultures. That's not a flaw in who they are. That's just the reality of living a life that spans 2 countries. Your dual citizenship isn't a liability. Your connection to your homeland isn't a crime. Sending money to people who are suffering isn't terrorism, but this bill doesn't make those distinctions clearly enough. And until someone forces it to, you have to make those distinctions for yourself carefully, with records and legal guidance and awareness. That's what protecting your citizenship looks like in 2026. If you made it this far, I already know something about you. You take your status in this country seriously. You didn't come this far, didn't go through everything you went through, to lose it over something you could have prevented if someone had just told you in time. Hit like. It's a small thing, but it's how this information gets in front of the next dual citizen who needs it and doesn't know they're looking for it yet. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, we break down the exact laws, rules, and real situations that lawful immigrants and naturalized Americans are actually dealing with. Green card protection, CBP encounters, IRS traps, public charge rules, visa rights, in plain language, no jargon. And share this with one person, your cousin, your neighbor, someone in your community who sends money back home and has never heard of HR 5300. You might be protecting their passport, you might be protecting their family. I'm Tom Lamas. This is Lawful Immigrant Shield. Stay informed, stay protected, and I'll see you in the next one.